I'm Jerry Krause. I'm from North Avondale community. We have a small business strip on Reading Road. We have a city-approved, or at least a planning commission-approved urban design plan. We have told everybody what we would like to have in our small business strip, but we also have property owners who want the top dollar for their property. And the top dollar usually means undesirable things. You know, you said, let's be inclusive, but sometimes we don't want to have a car wash next to a single-family home. We don't want to have a KFC next to a $300,000 house. So how does form-based code help us in overcome these property owners who want to have top dollar? Because these are the property owners who own the significant portion of our commercial area that needs development.
You were looking at me, so I'll take the first crack at this. You know, as I've heard Charles Graves, who is the city planning director, as you all know, talk about the process with form-based codes, at least as proposed to City Council, is this is going to be a very inclusive process that will include the property owners, the neighbors, potential developers, where you're developing the vision for the neighborhood. So those considerations go into those conversations. You know, when Roxanne first, when I went on my first Nashville tour, I was almost knocked on off my chair by the disconnect between market realities, land prices, and this process of putting what they call UDOs, their overlays down there. And exactly this issue with what are you doing to landowner expectations of value by this grand vision that the community has created. And it took me a while, it took me 2 trips, but I understood at the end of those trips that if you build it really, really well, they will come, and the market will react and allow for actually land prices. That land will be worth more than what those property owners are thinking about today by the time that you're done, if you can believe that. The takeaway I'd like you to have from my contribution today is 3 times. 3 times. 3 times the population, 3 times the property values, 3 times the economic resources. We can triple what we're doing in this city, and form-based codes is at the heart of that. If you create a great place, they will come. But that takes incredible vision and discipline by the community.
Well, how does that keep out the undesirable?
Can I add something? Mark? You talked about the drive-through next to the residential property, and maybe some of the other less desirables. With form-based codes, for example, a drive-through wants their building set back from the street, so that so cars can come through and they can have stacking and come out. In form-based codes, if in fact you say we want buildings to come up to the street, you can't have a drive-through that has that kind of design. So there are some things that you can do in terms of where buildings are placed that drive kinds of uses, if you will. So that's one idea. Now, if a building comes up to the street, you can't necessarily say that it can't be this or it can't be that. There has to be some flexibility built into it. But there are ways in terms of how buildings are placed that drive the kinds of uses that would go there. So that's just one thought in terms of a drive-through versus something that's built up onto the street, that's more inviting in terms of people walking into the building versus driving through.
And that is a great example, because a drive-through has in its name, you know, drive, and form-based codes are driven to the pedestrian, not the automobile. So, you know, those things will be in conflict with each other if you're really creating a place that is pedestrian-friendly. And that's the beauty and the power of all of this, is it drives toward this public-private partnership that creates much greater value by focusing on the pedestrian.
And I think the other important point that Scott was making, a couple things. One is every one of us has to deal with the fact that none of us are dealing with green fields. We all have to. We are all dealing with existing buildings, existing owners, existing developers, and folks who do development in the city know that there are special challenges that then come with all of that. But part of the success of form-based codes, as we saw in Nashville and as other places have seen, and this goes a bit to your question, Jerry, also, is that when successful, the value of the property increases in such a manner that the people who perhaps have been the obstacles by holding on to the property either ultimately do sell because they are getting the value that they want out of it, or they actually begin redevelopment of it because the pressure is on. But right now, in a number of places, including North Avondale, you can maintain a static situation because there is nothing happening. Let's see, I think Marty was next, and then we'll kind of circle back around. And that clock is a little fast, but how about if we do 3 more questions and then just a little wrap up so that we're out of here on time. Marty?
Besides the model group, who are the other urban developers who any of you feel are or would embrace form-based codes right now? Because I think if all of these communities would all go after those developers and engage them, it would kind of force the other developers to start seeing the light. Any of you?
Well, they're on tape, and so this is like a difficult question. They can write it down, and then they'll like hold it up.
Pass it over to and there are people in town that I think embrace the idea. It takes a little bit of work to get to them, but for those reasons that Bobby mentioned as well.
I think the list of local developers that have experience with this is pretty short. But I think we're at a moment in time where, for some of the reasons that are large trends and demographics and stimulus driven and just the way the world is going, everyone needs to start talking about how to form these public-private partnerships to be successful. It's a market force that is happening, and the development community locally will get on board. Right now, if you wanted to do it today, you probably need to convince Bobby or bring some people from out of town. But I think the development community is starving for good projects right now, and capital. But this is a moment in time.
And Marty, it's kind of like the green building movement and sustainability. 5 years ago, it was hard to name any developer that would embrace sustainability. And now any number of them are out there, rightly so, out there saying, we're green, hire us because we're green. It's the market sort of forcing that change, and I think that'll happen, as Scott said.
And truly is an education process. I think someone mentioned that when you're doing this for years and years a certain way, change is always hard for anyone. And the most compelling reason is going to be where the buyers want to go. Where are the buyers? And so that's going to force, I think, a revolutionary change in a pretty quick time frame, because the people that I'm working with are all saying, where do we go? What do we do? How do we revamp our business to these changing trends in our marketplace? And oh, by the way, North Point Group also would be a developer to talk to.
There you go. There you go.